Have you ever had a day where one decision, just one act of kindness, completely flipped your life upside down? That's exactly what happened to Ryan Cooper, a delivery driver who never imagined helping a stranger would cost him everything, only to bring him something far greater. Ryan was 36, living alone in a small Phoenix apartment. He didn't have much, just second-hand furniture, a fridge that always looked empty, and an old laptop he used to job hunt on slow nights. But he was reliable, a man who worked hard and kept to himself. For the past 7 years, he'd been driving for a regional delivery company. It wasn't glamorous, but it paid the bills, barely. On a Tuesday morning, Ryan's day started like any other. He loaded his van at dawn, hit the road with boxes stacked high, and drove through quiet streets while the sun painted the desert sky. He liked those moments of stillness before traffic roared and the world demanded too much. But that peace broke when he stopped at a gas station mid-morning. Coffee in hand, he walked back toward his van when he heard a voice, desperate, trembling. "Sir, please, can you help me? I need to get to the airport. My ride never came. I can't miss my flight." Ryan turned and saw a young woman standing on the curb, suitcase beside her. She looked no older than 22, blonde hair pulled into a messy ponytail, eyes red from holding back tears. "My name's Claire," she said quickly. "My mom's in the hospital in Denver. They said it's serious, and I need to be there. My phone died, buses are late, I don't know what else to do." Ryan froze. His schedule was tight. His boss, Carl Benson, had been warning him to stay on time. One detour could mean trouble. But looking at Claire's tear-streaked face, Ryan felt a pang he couldn't ignore. He knew what it was like to feel helpless, to need someone when no one came. He took a breath. "All right. Get in. I'll take you." The relief on her face was immediate. She climbed in, clutching her suitcase. "Thank you. Thank you so much. You don't know what this means." As Ryan steered onto the highway, the clock on the dashboard seemed louder with every mile. But Claire's story weighed more. She told him about her mom, how they hadn't spoken in a year after a fight. "If I miss this chance," she whispered, "I'll never forgive myself." Ryan understood. His own father had walked out when he was a teenager. His mother had passed a few years later. Too many words had been left unsaid, and the regret never went away. "Family's tough," Ryan said quietly. "But being there now, that's what matters." By the time they reached the airport, Claire was nearly in tears from relief. Ryan pulled up to the curb, parked, and she turned to him. "I don't even know your name." "Ryan," he said. She gripped his hand tightly. "Ryan, I'll never forget this. You gave me back time I thought I'd lost." And then she was gone, swept into the crowd. Ryan drove away, anxiety rising. His schedule was wrecked. His boss wasn't going to like this. By noon, his fears came true. Carl was waiting when Ryan pulled into the depot, red-faced and fuming. "Cooper. Where have you been? Half your deliveries are late. Customers are calling non-stop. Do you think this is a taxi service?" Ryan tried to explain. "There was a girl, her mom's in the hospital. She needed to get to the airport. I couldn't just leave her." Carl's glare hardened. "So you abandoned your job for some stranger? I told you before, one more mistake and you're out." "Well, congratulations. You're out." He shoved a final paycheck into Ryan's hand. Just like that, 7 years of work disappeared. That night, Ryan sat in his apartment staring at the check. It wasn't enough for rent, not enough for groceries, barely enough for anything. Regret gnawed at him. Was helping Claire worth losing everything? But then he remembered her words, "I'll never forget this." 5 days later, his phone rang. A number he didn't know. "Hello? Ryan?" A woman's voice, familiar. Yes. It's Claire. The girl from the gas station. Ryan blinked in surprise. Claire. How did you? I tracked you down, she said quickly. I went back to the station, found out where you worked. Another driver slipped me your number. I had to call. My mom made it through surgery. She's recovering. If it weren't for you, I wouldn't have been there. Ryan, you saved me. Ryan's chest eased for the first time in days. I'm glad she's okay. But Claire's tone shifted. I also heard you lost your job because of me. Is that true? Ryan hesitated. Let's just say my boss wasn't impressed. There was silence, then her voice firm. Come to Denver. Please. My mom wants to meet you. Claire, I don't have the money. I'll cover it, she said quickly. You helped me when no one else would. Let me do this. Against his doubts, Ryan agreed. 2 days later, he stepped off a plane in Denver. Claire was waiting, smiling brightly. She led him into a black car with a chauffeur. Inside, she explained. Her mother, Margaret Reynolds, wasn't just anyone, she was the founder of a massive non-profit foundation dedicated to healthcare access. Claire hadn't mentioned it before, afraid he'd think she was asking for help because of her family's status. She asked who helped me, Claire said. When I told her about you, she said she had to meet you. At the Reynolds estate, Ryan was ushered into a grand living room. On the couch sat Margaret, pale from recovery but dignified. Her eyes softened when she saw him. So, she said warmly, you're the man who made sure my daughter was here when I woke up. Sit, Ryan. We need to talk. Ryan sat nervously, feeling out of place. Margaret studied him, then said, Claire told me what happened. You lost your job because you chose kindness. That shouldn't happen. Kindness should never cost someone everything. Ryan shrugged. Life's never been fair to me. I'll figure it out. Margaret leaned forward. What if you didn't have to figure it out alone? What if I offered you a chance to start fresh? My foundation needs people like you, people who care more about people than profit. Ryan shook his head. I'm not special. I just drove a van. Margaret smiled. Sometimes, that's exactly what's needed. Logistics, transport, you've been doing it for years. With us, it's not about boxes. It's about delivering hope. The phrase struck him deep. Delivering hope. Claire touched his arm. Ryan, this isn't charity. You'd earn it. We're offering you a job, with stability, purpose, and a chance to make a difference. Ryan stared at them, heart pounding. What if I fail? Margaret's eyes softened. Then you'll fail doing something that matters. And that is never truly failing. After a long silence, Ryan nodded. All right. I'll do it. Claire beamed. Margaret smiled with relief. For the first time in years, Ryan felt something new, purpose. The following week, Ryan started at the foundation. His tasks seemed familiar, driving, delivering, coordinating routes, but the impact was entirely different. He wasn't dropping off packages anymore. He was transporting patients to appointments, delivering life-saving medicine, bringing supplies to shelters. Every mile carried meaning. One afternoon, while delivering to a shelter, a little boy tugged his sleeve. Thanks, mister, the boy said shyly. My mom says you bring the stuff that keeps her healthy. Ryan knelt, throat tight. Just doing my job, buddy. But inside, pride bloomed. Claire often stopped by, their friendship growing naturally. She teased him for being too quiet, he teased her for talking too much. Somewhere between long shifts and shared coffees, Ryan realized his life wasn't just changing, it was opening. One snowy evening, the foundation got an urgent call, a shelter's heating system had failed, with dozens of families inside. Without help, children might not survive the night. Ryan didn't hesitate. He and Claire loaded the van with blankets, heaters, and food, driving through icy streets. The main road was blocked by an accident, so Ryan took back roads, gripping the wheel as snow lashed the windshield. When they arrived, shivering children and exhausted parents rushed to them. Ryan and Claire worked until everyone inside was warm and fed. An older woman from the shelter pulled Ryan aside. "You don't know what you just did. If you hadn't come, some of those little ones wouldn't have made it." Ryan's throat burned as he looked at Claire, wrapping a blanket around a boy. And he knew, this was where he belonged. Months later, Margaret hosted him for dinner. She looked healthier now, color in her cheeks. As they sat at her table, she said, "When I met you, Ryan, you were a man who'd lost everything. Now, I see a man who has found his place. One act of kindness changed your life, and ours. Never forget that." Claire smiled at him softly. "See? That morning at the gas station, it changed everything." Ryan nodded, realizing she was right. Losing his job had been painful, but it had opened the door to something far greater. That night, standing outside the clinic as the sun set over the city, Ryan watched families leaving with medicine and food he had delivered. The sky glowed with colors of fire and gold, and for the first time in years, he felt peace. He thought back to that desperate voice at the gas station, the choice to risk everything, and smiled. Because sometimes, losing one thing is the only way to discover what truly matters. And sometimes, helping someone else doesn't just change their life. It changes your own.